Hi everybody, Fred the Pirate here, and this is a review of the comics Totem issue 1, and it is written and created by a fellow YouTuber, Larry Javier Williams from Otaku Assemble. The penciler and inker is Avery Scott, the colorist is Jacob Poole, and the letterer is Sam Benzinger, and it is edited by E.M. Session, so I hope I pronounced everybody's. I'll have a link to his channel and where you can purchase the comic. You can purchase it from several places online. And so I purchased and read Totems over the internet using the website Graphically. Totems follows Nate Cross as a 15-year-old kid haunted by nightmares of a tragic past. Stress abounds after seeing an apparition from his dreams in his everyday life. Unbeknownst to Nate, the apparition is but one of a few spirits that will reveal themselves to him and his friends. And I have to say, I liked a lot of things about the comic. The art was very nice, and the story was really well done. I remember when I was finished, you couldn't wait to read more. It was a really fast read, and not in a bad way. It was one of those things where you read it, and like I said, I got done, and, I couldn't believe that it was over with because it was such a well-written comic. I know in the back of the issue, Larry mentions that one of the things he was concerned about with writing the comic was the pacing, but I felt that it was really well paced. It went by really smoothly, which I think you can't say anything better about the pacing, just that it flowed really well. Another thing I really liked about the comic, I really liked the characters. You learn a lot about them in the first issue. Very diverse, but they're solid people. I don't feel like they feel like they're real people with real problems. They don't feel like you definitely don't have a problem that a lot of teenage characters in literature have, which is sometimes when people write teenage characters, they make them too dramatic, that they just, where it feels fake. But Larry definitely makes all of his characters feel like they're real, authentic teenagers. Like, they act like teenagers. They don't act too adult, but at the same time, they don't act overly melodramatic, which I think is one of the issues I've always had with teen characters in a lot of literature, especially in Western literature and just in Western media in general, is that people try to make them too melodramatic, or they try to make them too mature, and it just comes off as very fake and unauthentic. But Larry definitely doesn't have this issue. The characters feel and act like actual teenagers and not like people who are trying too hard to represent teenagers. One of the characters I'm particularly interested in, which we don't have a lot of information on yet, is the villain. We learn very quickly within the first couple of pages what his motives are, which he seems to have kind of a vendetta against society. Conformity and seems to be conformity definitely seems to be a theme of this issue. So he was a really interesting character. So I definitely like to see more of him. Obviously, I'd like to see more of all the characters because they were really well made. I like the story so far. I'm really interested in figuring out exactly how people, why people have the totems that they have. I'm not super familiar with the mythology of totems, so as a thing, know a little bit about them, And that was kind of mostly just from having taken an anthropology course a while ago. So I'm not super familiar with the mythology, so I'm kind of wondering how that works. I know Larry mentioned that the characters are going to have a variety of powers, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. And I mean, I'm sure as the comic goes, we'll get more answers to why people have totems that they do. I know with the two of the three main characters of Eddie and Carter, I can kind of understand why their totems are what they are. Eddie's totem is an owl, and Carter's is a horse, and I can kind of understand why they have those totems. Like, I think if I'm reading into it correctly, like, it definitely makes sense why their totems are that way. Like, especially Eddie's, because Eddie's a bookworm, and really, since he reads a lot of philosophy books, that, wisdom is particularly important to him. Owls are kind of known and synonymous with wisdom. And I can kind of see why Carter's totem is a horse, you know, because because horses, I think culturally, and I think both as actual animals, known for obviously being individuals, but at the same time they are herd animals, they are social animals, and they do form tight social bonds with their people, but they're still very much individuals. And so I can kind of see that with Carter. He is somebody who he values his friends, he values people in his pack, but at the same time, he definitely is an individual, someone who, besides being obviously athletic, obviously, he's shown to be a gamer, and I think, so he's a bit of a nerd in other ways, so it's like, so he's kind of multiple things. So the horse kind of makes sense as a thing with his personality. I'm kind of interested with Nate, who is the main character, why his totem's a wolf. I mean, I know Larry's mentioned numerous times that he has an affinity for wolves, and that he's personally chosen to take on a wolf as his totem. And if you don't know, Larry has mentioned personally that he is of Native American ancestry, so that's why he has a personal relation with totems, and particularly the wolf. But I'm kind of interested why Nate's chosen the wolf, or rather the totems choose you in the story, because there's just so much mythology around wolves as animals, and so there could just be so many reasons for it. So I'm kind of interested in just seeing why people have the totems that they have, which I think was one thing that I'm particularly interested in finding out as the series goes. And it was, the story itself seemed really nice. Obviously, or well, at least the major conflict in the story seems really interesting. Obviously, Nate and his companions are going to have a conflict with the major villain. In early on in the comic, we're actually introduced to the villain first, and he ends up killing one of, as we find out later, one of Nate's classmates. And and he says one of the reasons, one of the villains says to the girl before he kills her, one of the reasons why he did that was because she chose to conform. So I think obviously one of the major conflicts, and I guess overall motif of the story is, kind of the conflict between conformity and nonconformity, and I guess, how that fits in with the how society works and the morals and scruples of society. So that definitely seems like an interesting conflict, and I think that's definitely going to play out well, and I'm definitely going to waiting to see how that works out, because I think it's obvious how Nate and Eddie and Carter have the same problem a lot of teenagers have, which is figuring out how to fit in to society but yet maintain their unique individualism. So I think that'll be interesting. And we kind of see this motif played out with the books Eddie reads. So, and that was a cool Easter egg that I found out about. And I found that out through Uber Akari's review, because I'm not super familiar with philosophy, so that was definitely a fun Easter egg to have pointed out. So I think in the future, I'll definitely make sure to keep a sharper eye on Eddie's reading material. So that was definitely a fun Easter egg, and I definitely enjoy Larry for the work a lot more for putting that in there, because it's the little details like that really help add on to works and make them better, and make them more enjoyable experiences. And so that was definitely fun finding that out. And overall, I'm just, excited for the next issue, which I think that should be coming out pretty soon, because I know the comics are released on about a 3-month every 3 months, and I know issue 1 was released back in November, so hopefully issue 2 will be out soon, and definitely looking forward to reading issue 2. It was a great comic, and Larry and his team did a really great job, and you guys should definitely check it out. It was a wonderful read. So this has been Fred the Pirate, and this has been a review of Totems issue 1. Again, make sure to pick it up because it's awesome, and make sure that you guys comment, rate, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time.